think something happened to me when I turned 60. I stopped feeling like everything I do has to have a purpose. It's almost the end of August 2026. Last December, I had a milestone birthday. I turned 60, and honestly, turning 60 brought a lot of reflection. By then, my children were grown and gone, and I was dealing pretty heavily with the empty nest syndrome. For so many years, my life had revolved around raising my children, taking care of my family, working, accomplishing things, checking things off the list. And suddenly, there was this thing I wasn't quite used to. Time. More time. Time that wasn't already spoken for. And at first, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. But something has been changing in me over the past month. I think I'm finally beginning to accept that my children are grown, that this season of my life is different, and that maybe it's time to think about how I want to live the next 30 or 40 years, if God gives me that much time. And with that has come a surprisingly freeing thought. So what happens when you stop trying to make your art go somewhere and simply let it make your life better? Because as artists, we can put so much pressure on ourselves. We want to improve, we want to accomplish something, we want to create something beautiful, maybe we want to sell it, maybe we want people to notice it, maybe we want to become successful, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. But what if every creative project doesn't have to become a business? What if it doesn't have to be a masterpiece? What if it doesn't even have to be finished? What if sometimes we can just play? So why create art at this stage of life? For me, art makes my mornings better. It gives me something to look forward to. It gives me a reason to learn something new. It challenges me. It makes me think. There's something incredibly satisfying about taking something in your hands and making something with it. Sometimes I make something for someone else. Sometimes I make something because I want to give it away. And sometimes I just want to have fun. And there's something incredibly freeing about that. For so many years, I felt like everything I did needed a purpose. Raise children, take care of family, work, make money, accomplish something, check something off the list. And now I'm beginning to ask myself a different question. What if it doesn't have to be perfect? What if I can just enjoy the process? And I actually see the difference in my art. Recently, I was struggling with a drawing of a hand. I became frustrated and thought, I need to go back and learn how to draw again. So I did. Since that video, I've been practicing, and something interesting has happened. My drawings are getting better, but not because I'm obsessing over perfection. I'm looking at the whole drawing instead of getting stuck on every detail. I'm not afraid to try different materials. I'm not gripping the pencil as tightly. My lines are becoming more fluid. I'm concentrating more. And strangely enough, when I stopped putting so much pressure on myself, the drawings started looking better. They're less stiff, less forced, more alive. Maybe that's what happens when you allow yourself to enjoy what you're doing. And I'm giving myself permission to explore. I've gotten a little crazy about embroidery lately. I bought an embroidery machine and I've been learning and making all kinds of things. I'm still painting. I've given some of my paintings away as gifts. And I started making rosaries. That actually came from a mission project with my rosary group. We had to make 1,000 rosaries, and we did it. Learning all the knots to hold those beads together was quite a challenge. As you can see from my left index finger, I had a little accident along the way. Let's just say my finger doesn't look quite the way it used to. But I kept going, and now I'm making rosaries of my own. Now that has made me think about something else. Maybe creativity isn't always about creating something for yourself. Sometimes you can create something that brings joy to someone else, and maybe that's where purpose comes back into the picture. Not because I have to make something valuable, but because I want to. I used to think success meant getting somewhere with my art, getting better, being recognized, becoming viral, accomplishing something, having something to show for all the time I spent creating. But I am beginning to see success differently. Maybe success isn't always about getting somewhere. Maybe success is simply having a life you enjoy living and sharing it with the less fortunate. Maybe at 60, the question isn't, what do I still need to accomplish? Maybe the question is, how do I want to live? How do I want to spend my mornings? What makes me curious? What makes me laugh? What makes me want to get out of bed? What can I learn? Maybe we don't need every moment of our lives to be productive. Maybe we don't need every talent to become a business. Maybe we don't need every painting to be a masterpiece. Maybe we don't even need every drawing to be good. Maybe sometimes. And as a person of faith, I've been thinking about this too. Maybe God didn't give us creativity only so we could produce something valuable. Maybe He gave us creativity so that we could experience the joy of creating. Maybe creativity is a gift, not because of what it produces, but because of what it does inside of us. It makes us curious, it makes us present, it makes us grateful. It can connect us with other people. It can become a gift, it can become a way to serve, and sometimes it can simply make a Tuesday morning a little better. So here I am, 60 years old, still learning, still drawing, still painting, still making rosaries, still playing with embroidery, still trying new things, and maybe for the first time in a long time, I'm creating without needing it to go somewhere. I'm just enjoying the journey, and maybe that's the point. Maybe this next chapter isn't about proving what I can accomplish. Maybe it's about discovering how much joy I can find in the life God has given me. So, if you're at a similar stage in your life, I want to ask you, what would you create if you weren't worried about where it was going? What would you make if nobody had to see it? What would you try if you knew you couldn't fail? And most importantly, what would you do simply because it makes you happy? Maybe it's time to give ourselves permission to have fun. No pressure, no expectations, just create and see where it takes you.